Oh, what's going on, YouTube? So, we're about to dive, as the timer going, we're about to dive into a film that I saw, I think back in August of 2013 or something like that. This film here, The Place Beyond the Pines, that I fell in love with a long time ago. And, but today, for today's review, I am not alone, actually. I am joined by Miss Imon Frost. How's it going?
Good.
So,
How are you?
I'm doing.
Oh yeah, well.
It's going, but no, I'm doing fine. But so we're gonna start with kind of like how we've usually done in our collaborations. We're gonna start with a short, spoiler-free section, and then we're gonna go to spoiler-filled. So let's start with our spoiler-free thoughts of the film, which I probably should put some thought into this, but spoiler. Do you have any immediate spoiler-free thoughts about the film?
Well, I think if you haven't seen it, again, like we've always said, please go and watch this movie. This movie, honestly, I don't know why it was not nominated for an Oscar. Am I wrong about that? Because I'm pretty sure it was not nominated.
Not that I could remember, but it definitely didn't. It didn't win anything. That's for
No,
sure.
no, and this is like an epic film, masterpiece of just, I don't know how you feel about it, but for me, it is just a wonderful movie. And it's about like the father's sins coming back to haunt you. Like you can't run away from your sins in a way. Like if you do something, it's going to come back to haunt you, even your children and your children's children. And this movie, it's like, it's so beautiful, like the way that they do that
Yeah,
and show that.
I probably shouldn't have thrown this at you. I could probably use this as a frame of reference. But for those of you who don't know, these are like the core main characters on the front here, even though they looked photoshopped all the hell. But
Yeah.
Eva Mendes, Ryan Gosling, and Bradley Cooper. It's sort of about just their lives over a span of more than 15 years. And we start with two fathers. We start with Ryan Gosling's part of the story, who's like this biker. And then we start with Bradley Cooper's side of the story, who's like a cop. And then we fast forward a few years, and it's crazy. Kind of reminds me of The Godfather in certain ways, but it's just riveting stuff. It's like a 10 out of 10 for me, easy, like masterpiece. I love this film. What would you rate this film, actually?
10 out of 100 out of 100. Like
Yeah.
it's like the perfect movie.
Unfortunately, like I have to be sort of vaguer than usual because this is one of those films that, like, I think warrants you watching it as coldly as possible, as not knowing much about it as possible. So I would recommend watching the official trailer because, as far as I know, there's only one. I think, as far as I know, whichever trailer has like the quotes during it. I love trailers with quotes. You know what I'm saying? It makes it more exciting. But I would recommend watching the official trailer if you have never heard this movie somehow. But it is just, it's dark, it is heartbreaking, it's really haunting, and it is like an epic the way that it spans decades. And kind of like how you said, how being a bad father can trickle down to maybe a bad son, possibly, you know? If your father had bad traits, could your son have bad traits, you know? Three. All right, so we had a little technical difficulty hiccup there for a second. But anyways, long story short about the spoiler-free, watch the official trailer, and was there something that you were saying? Oh, you should not skip to the spoiler section. Just, if you're curious about the film, go ahead, go check it out. It came out in 2013, so it's on Blu-ray and you can stream it and all that shit. I don't know if it's on Netflix, but honestly, if you really want to see it, check out the trailer, and you should love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 for me, 10 out of 10 from you as well. So let's go ahead and skip right into the spoilers section because there's a lot to talk about with this movie. So, spoilers. I guess let's start with just the first half of the story. I guess the story sort of is cut up into 3 acts. So I guess we can start with Act One. Act One with the hell's his name? With Luke. Luke, played by Ryan Gosling. All right, I'm gonna try not to like gush and go off on a tangent, but in my second film that I'm creating right now, my character is heavily tattooed, and it's actually directly because of this movie. For me, when I saw this film, I felt like the tattoos changed Ryan Gosling's physicality for me. It made him seem like a different kind of human being. I mean, it's not like I was like, oh, is that Ryan Gosling? But like, it just made him feel different. You know, he didn't feel like the guy from The Notebook. You know, like I truly believed him more so with the tattoos. And the opening sequence, I guess we can start with which is just filmed in one take, is one of the greatest one takes I've ever seen in my entire life. Like with him with the switchblade, like the fact that we learned so much about him without him speaking a word in the first, I think like first 4 minutes or so. You know, we start off with him with switchblade and just the tattoos and the cigarettes by his wayside, and then he stabs the knife into a wall and he walks out, you know, and he gets in that weird ball, you know, where he's like spinning all around. We learned so much about him without him even speaking. And I guess I'll pause there, but your thoughts on Act One, I guess?
Like the beginning, like what you were just saying, or just the whole Act One as a whole?
Either one. I am curious on your thoughts of like literally the first sequence.
The first sequence is amazing. Yeah, it's definitely, I've never seen a shot like that before. I feel like there was a lot of shots like that in the movie too, just like one takes just spread throughout. Mm-hmm. He likes to do that. Derek Cianfrance.
Yeah.
He's very good at it. He's just good at getting like raw emotion. And yeah, it's definitely obviously for the girls watching the movie, they're like, oh, okay, Ryan Gosling shirtless. We're in. And some guys too. And like, but it's not even that. His character is so deep. There's so much that about him that you just see this, and his hair is like blonde, like bleached blonde. It's not even normal, like dirty blonde. And when I've heard him have interviews, and he talks about how he's like, I want all these tattoos and different things like that. And he was like, I want to get it on the face. And he was like, when I got it on my face, he wanted to take it off. But then Derek was like, nope, because that's how it feels when someone actually gets a face tattoo. It's regret. So yeah. He had like this kind of regret the whole time filming the movie, kind of like he's cowering in a way because he has like that shame in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just he's crazy. Like he's in one of those he's in the like tire. I don't even know what that's called. Like it's not a pit, but it's like.
Oh, you're talking about that weird ball that him and a motorcyclist were like spinning around. Which, for the record, I've never seen that before in my life. I didn't even know that fucking shit existed. Fun fact. But yeah, do you? Well, I'm gonna say probably no. But do you think he was actually in the ball, Ryan Gosling?
God, that's a good question.
I'm gonna say hail to the ball because I feel like he just like went off screen and they did something with the sound mixing so he wouldn't notice it, and they just like had someone else go in there. But yeah, I guess. Did you have any specific thoughts about like his tattoos or just that sequence with him walking out into that pit? I guess.
It was just, we didn't know what he was waiting for, why he was breathing so hard, and we were just following him on this walk, and it was cool. It was very well done.
It blew my mind. I think I literally like watched it like 3 times on the first viewing before starting the movie, because I was just like, wait, what? Because there's a movie called Atonement, which I love as well. I don't even know what year that came out, with James McAvoy and Keira Knightley, and there's a huge one-take sequence in that film involving a beach. And at that time, I wasn't really used to one-take shots, where there's just no camera cuts. That's what one take is. But yeah, it just blew my mind. But anyways, I didn't know if you had anything else to add.
No, and then we meet Romina.
Yes.
Eva Mendes' character pops up.
There's not too much meat to her character, but I mean, she plays the character well for sure, at least convincingly, and we kind of learn that Luke has been missing for like a year or something, and in that time she actually got pregnant and had his kid, which that was just messed up because he was in town, but then he was about to leave or something, and he kind of just found out about the kid just by happenstance, which was interesting. When he was sort of like, "Who's that guy?"
Yeah, I know. That's one of my favorite parts of the movie, the way he says that. Who's that guy? But it's like really also, if I can touch on that too, when he does meet his son for the first time, when she says he's yours, Eva Mendes' mom, Romina's mom, he all of a sudden his face is like in shock, and he starts just wiping his hands. Like he feels physically, maybe, I don't know if he had dirt on himself, but I felt like he was not pure enough to touch his son. And he just, the way that scene was shot, there's no words, he just is he has to wipe his hands. And and the way he holds them. And I felt like, his life, obviously he didn't care whether he dies or lives, because he's doing this crazy stunt life, whatever that is. I don't know what that is called, what he does.
Yeah, I guess stuntman, daredevil, something like
that. I mean, I'm sure someone in the comments is going to know what that's called. But, he has this crazy lifestyle. And I think right when he found out he had a son, everything changed completely. But he didn't know how to do that in a normal way. Like for a normal person, they'd be like, okay, I'm going to do this and do the right things. He just thinks like, well, like, how do I be a good dad? How do I be a good guy for my son?
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. I was just like, damn, Romina, like didn't get a cell phone or nothing. Like shit. But another great sequence is when they are in the church and what's this fool's name? Is it is it Coffee? Is that how you pronounce it? Coffee? Sure, I'm just gonna call him Coffee. But when they're in the church and Ryan Gosling, when he's crying while his son Jason, I think, is being baptized. Man, what a performance, Like, I truly believe that he was in turmoil about the state of his life that he was in, the way that he looks, kind of like this madman, prison break motherfucker, and he's got this child just all of a sudden. I think that's kind of what was running through his mind and caused him to cry. I don't know if you felt differently, but I thought that was a powerful moment. And then, I don't know, was there anything there that you wanted to touch on before I moved on?
Well, I think that's a very powerful scene, too. It's like a turning point for him.
Yeah. And there's a really heartbreaking scene where he kind of, I'm not sure if it's before or after he meets Robin, Ben Middleton's character. I can't remember, but which the way that they met was cool as fuck. Though while they're riding motorcycles through the woods, the way it was shot all chaotically was really cool.
Yeah.
But when he's at the cafe or diner, and he's like, "Oh, I can take care of the kid," and she keeps asking how, and he keeps avoiding the question. That kills me every time because he didn't have an answer. He kind of just had hope, or faith, or blind faith, and I don't know. It was hard to watch. But then Robin is sort of suggesting that he like rob banks. And you want to provide for your kid. I did it a few times and it worked out great. Just used a note, hey, just rob some banks. I got this storage truck or whatever. Done deal, you know. And but then he actually does it, and
Yeah.
the first robbery was really really intense. A friend of mine, Luke, he was making fun of Ryan Gosling in this scene because I don't know how well I can do this, but Ryan Gosling's scream when
Oh God,
when he walks into the
please
bank,
do it.
he's like, "Everybody, put your guns in the air! Get the fuck over here!" Like he had these like high pitched shrieks, which made me laugh. So I was tickled. Let me tell you. For some reason, when he screams, he like hits this high pitch that I guess he can't help because he did it in God Forgives, God Never Forgives. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. But where was I going with that? Oh, the robbery. That was intense, especially like afterwards where he pukes in the van. I don't know if you wanted to touch on the first robbery and him meeting
Yeah.
Ben Milson.
Yes. I love his shrieks. I don't know why, but I love when Ryan Gosling has those shrieks.
Yeah.
So I want to just point this out. I went to this movie completely blind. I had no idea what this movie was about. I just knew Ryan Gosling was in it, and I knew that the director directed Blue Valentine. And I was like, okay, I have to see the movie. So I had no idea there was going to be bank robberies and all kinds of stuff. There's so many different things that happen in this movie that it's just like mind-blowing. That bank robbery scene is so realistic. Like, I feel like that's how we were put in his shoes. Like, I felt really nervous for him. I was like, oh God, what's going to happen? Is he going to make it? And then I was like, when they finish it and he drives up into the back of the truck, I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? That's not a bad idea. Like, that could actually work, actually. Like,
yeah, or at least in the location. I mean, it seemed like a very small. Like I stay in a small town currently, and it seemed like they were in sort of like a small town, Wisconsin-ish type of place. So they could get away with that sort of thing, but if they were in a bigger city, like maybe something like with the movie The Town with Ben Affleck, which is fucking incredible. Yeah, they would have been shot all to hell, but but okay. Now I gotta work into my memory here. So after that, where do we go? He pukes, and then okay. My favorite. We should get into our favorite scenes really quick because my favorite scene in the whole fucking movie comes up here where I think it at least initially starts with Ryan Gosling or Luke and Romina. They're kind of like lying in bed, and there's this piano theme which plays a few times throughout the film, and which is so gorgeous. And them in the bed when they're talking, specifically when he's saying, have you given him ice cream before? And she's like, no. And he's like, what have you been doing around here? I want to be the face that he sees because I gave him ice cream for the first time. That shit's so fucking heartbreaking. And then when they're outside that convenience store or whatever, just from that moment where they're in the bed all the way to where they're taking the picture together and she's crying, it's just like some of the most heartbreakingly haunting shit I think I've ever seen. Like it's yeah, especially when you realize that his confidence in that scene or those scenes is purely because he's been robbing banks.
right.
It's just, it gives it this really bittersweet, eerie feel, you know? But yeah, your thoughts of that scene?
That's one of my favorite scenes too. Like, it always stuck with me, and that song, I have it on my playlist. It's Nina Nana. I can't. Okay, it's not. I'm not gonna say it because I don't speak Italian. I think it's Italian. But it's by Ennio Morricone. I don't know how to say his name, but he's like really famous. I mean, he makes beautiful music. Yeah, that scene breaks my heart for many different reasons, kind of personal reasons, and then also like Yeah, the way, first of all, it's funny because no one actually gets mad at Romina for cheating on Kofi because she actually cheats on him, and it's not like a big deal for some reason. It's almost like we all understand like this situation. It's like she loves this guy, but she knows he's messed up. Like he's not mature, like mentally mature, and and she knows he's not good, but she wants to have him be there for her son, for their son. But yes, when they start talking about the ice cream and he says, I want to be the face that he remembers every time. And then she like puts her hand over her face and she just starts crying. I cried again last night. I watched the part and I cried. I couldn't help it. I always cry. And then in the next scene, they're at the ice cream shop and Ryan Gosling just is pretending to feed the baby and he just starts laughing at him because he's trying to eat the ice cream and he's messing with him. And that scene, that whole like from when they're in bed to when their picture taken.
Oh my god, it's perfect. I wish I could show that in like college classes as an example of like what an effective romantic scene looks like, because they are so convincing. It's spooky. I mean, granted, they got together in real life, but seriously though, like they are so convincing in those sequences. Like, I'm just gonna put this out there. This might piss some people off, but I personally think that Ryan Gosling is a better actor than Bradley Cooper. Sorry, people, but it's the truth. But because man, like, there's just something. I don't think I've seen him in a role where I did not find him just utterly convincing in that said role. Like, it's spooky, but but yeah, I guess. Okay, so what what happens after that? Oh yeah, well then like there's a fantastic transition from that to like he's just robbing more banks, and I can't remember specifically what happens after that, but I know he starts robbing a few more, and then we get to a sequence where he's in the house like trying to build a crib, and Kofi.
Yes.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
Coffee. I'm just gonna call him Coffee, but when he's like just building the crib and that guy, he's like kind of questioning his motives, and they get into a verbal dispute, and then out of nowhere he just like hits him with that wrench. That was the first moment. Well, this happened a few scenes back, but I started to realize that he's kind of I don't know if psychotic is too strong, but he's definitely mentally unstable for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of you guys, we're going to have to review this at some point, but I don't know how many of you have seen Shame with Michael Fassbender, but that's another film in which the main character, I mean, he's not like Jeffrey Dahmer, but like there's if there's a spectrum of psychosis, like motherfuckers falling on there somewhere. That's Ryan Gosling in this film, because, yeah, especially when after he knocks the guy out and then like he just casually goes onto the porch with his kid.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that?
That scene was very shocking. I didn't expect him to hit him, and the way he does it, and that's the point, is that he has anger issues. He's got extreme anger, and like he's really cool and calm most of the time.
Very emotionless, like Dexter Morgan in a way, for real.
Well, and right when he hits him, then she's like screaming at him, and he has nothing, and he tells the mother-in-law, call the ambulance, like just like that, just call the ambulance, and he takes his son and sits on the porch, and it's just like he can't. He's trying to be good, but he can't. It's like this tug of war. And like the whole time, and then we're probably going to get into it because that's where it goes into him going to jail and all that. Mm-hmm. But it's this tug of war and this life choices of like, he shouldn't have robbed banks. He had a choice, and actually he could have done that. Like, in his mind though, because it's so warped, because of his childhood.
He was looking for like a quick fix.
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah. It
made sense for him to probably rob banks. And then even the Ben Mendelsohn's character was kind of slow too. Like they were a little off mentally,
Yes, you and your buddy should not be chopping it up about robbing banks. Just
no.
putting it out there.
No, right. So it's just like, it sucks because like the whole time, and even when I'm rewatching the movie, I've seen it several times, and every time I rewatch it, I'm just like, don't do it, dang it, don't do it, don't do that, no, 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 and it's like it has to play out, and I want to get to that point. I don't want to. Oh God, I'll get to it. I'll get to it when you get to it, but I want to. But there's a big scene where I'm just like, you didn't have to do any of that. Like, he was trying to prove a point to his son, and in the end, it's like, let's get to that point, because we have. I'm sorry. Like,
no, you're good. Well, because after that, he goes to jail or prison, whichever. I wouldn't know because I've never been to either. But when he gets out, he's just immediately like, I want to do like 2 and 3 in one day or something like that. And there's just like this montage of him just going ham on banks. But there was one time, and it hurts me physically every time I see it, was when the last one where he goes and he forgets his... Well, first off, he just totally went like Scar. I'm talking about Lion King. He just went Scar on fucking Robin's character. Like, he comes there late one night and puts a gun in his mouth. And the part I was getting to was when he gets to the bank. The part that kills me physically is that he forgot his glasses. And I was just like, man, why would you... Oh, God, it kills me every time. Like, that was not an indicator to just turn back, but fuck it, he did anyways. And there's a fantastic chase sequence that's captured pretty intensely. And then we're introduced by, I think it's Avery, which is Bradley Cooper's character. Is it Avery? We're about to find out. Oh, it is Avery Cross. He comes into the picture, chases him down, and, kills Ryan Gosling's character. And I think the last phone conversation he had was with Ben Mendelsohn's character, I'm assuming?
With Romina.
Or was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought... Well, I don't remember. But that's interesting, because, you're saying he was in trouble before he gets shot. I guess thoughts on that? That's it.
Yeah. I felt the same way about the glasses. I was like, yes, if that is an indicator to not continue what you're about to do, that was like, please just turn around. And everything went wrong. Everything, one after another. They couldn't get the bag over. He kept screaming. His voice is just higher than ever. And then the bike won't start.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
like all these things. And it's like, okay, we know something's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I'm still rooting for him because we don't want him to die or anything.
No, I mean, there's definitely... He has, like, bizarrely sympathetic moments, like when he was puking in the back of the truck. It's like, it's clear that he's just doing this out of necessity, it's not like...
For his son.
But... And then, he gets tragically shot to death by...
and that's the scene. That was the scene that always gets me, is that he's lets the hostages go. He's in the room. He takes off his helmet. And I even think, and there's so many moments where it's like, he could have done this differently. He could have done, if he had the helmet on, he may have survived. If he didn't do that phone call, he might have survived. I don't know, because he fell back and his head cracked open. I think that's how he died. I don't think it was his gunshot wounds, per se. I'm not 100% sure.
I don't know. The gunshot was a problem, for sure. I can't remember if he got shot once or if it was more than once. Either way, like...
It might have been more than once. It might have been more than once. But it was the conversation with Romina that kills me. It's the fact that this whole time, he's worked himself up to this, to rob banks for his son, to give him money, to be this person. And he kept saying, I want to be different than my father. Then he tells her, please just do one thing for me. Don't tell him about me. So this whole point, he's been talking about, I want to do this, do that. And then he finally ends it with, just don't even tell him about me. Because he didn't want to have that shame of, your father's a bank robber. He did all these horrible things. And that, I don't know, that scene was really powerful. It just sucks. And then the gunshot. And it's crazy because it's very reminiscent of today and how the shootings are going on today, and people have cameras now, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where they get into how corrupt, like, police, not every police, like the police department's not corrupt, but there are corrupt policemen. And he was so fast on his trigger. He pulled that trigger so quick.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because he was a newbie or what happened. He just pop, and that's it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, this definitely brings us to, I'm just going to call it Act 2, the Bradley Cooper edition. Oh, another one of my favorite sequences is, well, I guess before I even start, there was one thing that I had issues with going back to rewatch the film. Do you think that Bradley Cooper's section is bloated? That was one thing, for some reason, when I first saw the film, I had a lot of issues with Bradley Cooper's just entire section of the film. It felt, because for some reason Ryan Gosling, maybe it's because Ryan Gosling's a better actor, but Ryan Gosling's section of the film, which is like 51 minutes or something like that,
Yep.
it just like bam, 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 it just flies by, to me at least. But for whatever reason, Bradley Cooper's section just feels very long. Like it just kind of just goes and it slows down. Do you think that his section is bloated, or?
I think it's much slower. I don't know if it's because Ryan is a better actor. Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, I love Ryan Gosling. It's like one of my favorite actors. So I don't know. I don't know if it's just how the director wanted it to be, or if it was just Bradley Cooper. I mean, I think Bradley Cooper did a great job in this role.
Same.
Like there was some big, deep, dark moments with him. Like I don't know. I feel like when I first watched it, I was just like, wait, what? So Ryan's dead? I have to finish the movie now? But then I wanted to know, well, what's going to happen here, you know? Yeah. But I do agree. It slowed down just a bit, I think.
Yeah, because... Yeah, I wrestled with that. Because honestly, I think that's maybe my only substantial flaw with the film. Every film is flawed in my eyes, but there's a difference between substantial flaws and just straight up flaws. Like, you know, an extra did something in the background that he wasn't supposed to do, but was caught on camera type of shit. But there's always flaws. But yeah, the only substantial flaws, it felt like his section maybe was a little bit over long. But watching it this time, I didn't mind it at all, actually, because there's so many great moments. Namely, when Avery, Bradley Cooper, when he's sitting in the hospital bed, and then we get a man that I do not remember his name, but he was in Star Trek, and his voice is magnificent. Bill Cullen, played by Bruce Greenwood. Oh, Billy Boy, when he's talking to Avery and he's questioning him about his motives the day of the shooting, the suspense in that moment. I don't even think there's music in that moment, but the suspense kills me every single time when you realize that Bradley Cooper is trying to lie so hard, and he's just failing so bad. I don't know. That part gets me, because again, that sequence, it just, you know, is an eerie reflection of today's time with people trying to point out corrupt cop killings or beatings, especially like on camera, or like the Trayvon Martin situation, things like that. Very eerie similarities, but yeah, your thoughts on that scene where he's being questioned?
Intense. It was so intense. I didn't expect it the first time I saw it. I was like, oh wait, is he trying to catch him in something right now?
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, oh, it's just questions, and I thought he was gonna be on the cop side, and he was not. He was like, well, who did you, when it was the question, he says, because he says, yeah, I kicked the door down, and he says, oh, was it locked? Did you check the doorknob? And he's like, wait. That's when he was like, hold on a second, this isn't normal.
He's like, I'm actually being interrogated.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, that was really intense. And then, oh my goodness, what what happens after that? Well, I suppose Ray Liotta comes into the picture soon after that, right? With Rose Byrne. Rose Byrne, my God, huge fan. Straight up, like, fell in love with that chick with Sunshine, Danny Boyle. Pretty big fan of Rose Byrne. She hasn't done anything recently that's been exciting for some bizarre reason. She's been in a lot of comedies, but 28 Weeks Later, Sunshine, man, I loved her as an actor. Anyway, she comes into the picture, and they're eating dinner, and Ray Liotta, as usual, is being creepy as fuck. And then they go, which I thought was brilliant writing, they go to Romina's house. That connection to Act 1 was just like, to me. But yeah, and then, they retrieve the money from Romina's place. I guess thoughts on that whole...
That I was just like shaking my head when I first saw it. I was like, wow, they are very well. He's like, I'm sorry, my mind. They're very, very brave and cocky to do that. And he's like, well, you pretend I have a warrant just like I'll pretend that your mom has papers. And so he was threatening her.
Are you talking about? You're talking about when Ray Liotta, when they get there and she's like questioning like, why you guys want to search my house?
Yeah, so I mean, we obviously it's illegal. They're doing it illegally, and it's because they're police officers and they have the force and the power to do so. They shouldn't, but they can in a way. The thing was that even back in the start of Act 2 with Bradley Cooper, he's always been thinking about Jason. He's always been thinking about Luke's son from the get-go when he found out that he had a son. So then we get to the scene where he has to hold Jason.
Oh yes.
That is like
I never thought about
so
that.
Disrespectful.
And she knew. I'm sure she recognized who he was.
She was looking at him. She was looking at him and like she was like, I can't believe this. Like,
yeah.
No. It was like, what is that called? Defamation. It's almost like going to like a graveyard and just peeing on someone's grave.
Yeah.
Like he went to the guy who he killed and then he's holding his son because they're trying to take money from, it's just like, it's so evil. It's so twisted, that scene.
It's really, really great writing. Really great.
Right. It really was.
That was such a brilliant turn, and Ray Liotta is fantastic as usual. Like, just the creepiest bastard in this film. Particularly, I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit here, but like when he tells, what is it? It's after Avery tries to give the money back and it doesn't work, and he's like feeling the guilt, and he confronts that officer or whoever, and then I know where Ray Liotta finds out, and then he tells them to follow him, and they go to the middle of the woods. Yeah, no. Yeah, like, how about no? Especially like it was getting dark and shit, and like they get to stretch in the middle of nowhere, and like Ray like gets out calmly. Like no, I would have like turned around a few miles back. Like no, nah, son. As soon as he was like, yeah, just follow me. Like, yeah, sure. And then I would have went 80 in the complete opposite direction.
Seriously, he is such a creep. He plays a creep really well.
Yeah.
Ray Liotta.
He was 1,000% gonna kill him. 1,000%. It was not gonna be some beatdown, okay? Because this was gonna be like a shanking in the night, literally.
And he has the nerve to say, "Hey," when he's like backing out, like really?
Yeah, like
running for his life.
Yeah, Bradley was about to die a sure death that night. So, yeah, that was really suspenseful. Even though his side of the story is slow, it's really great writing, though. Ironically,
it really is.
So. And then, what the hell happens after that? Oh, well, I guess he confronts good old Bill about, I guess, bringing them all to justice, and he gets promoted, and then we fast forward about 15 years, as far as memory serves. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add It just occurred to me how light of a touch Rose Byrne's character has to the story. That's weird.
Hmm.
I never thought about that before. Not
I
that
know.
it's a flaw. I'm just
It's
saying.
weird because she has some really big moments, though. Like, there was her looking outside her window, seeing him in his garage after he gets the money, and there was scenes like that, but I don't really know what they meant.
Hmm.
You know, it just might be his own like storytelling of like he's known someone who had like similar life relationship, husband wife thing, or himself, and he just added that in. But it didn't have, yeah. I mean, for the third act, it
Yeah.
didn't really have anything to do with anything. So
Hmm.
yeah,
And then we skip ahead 15 years to probably maybe the spookiest part of the film with the sons, Jason
yeah,
and AJ, which I'm probably gonna get real random here with the third act, because my memory of it is always odd. But my favorites, maybe my second, it's either my second or third favorite scene in the whole film. But when they first meet AJ and Jason, and AJ's just like, "Hey, so you want to go smoke some weed or something?" And they like they go to that tunnel and they're getting high.
yeah,
That piano thing comes back,
yep,
and I for whatever reason that's one of my favorite moments. Just this concept that they have these extraordinary backstories, and just by pure coincidence, or maybe it's not, I don't know, but seemingly by pure coincidence, they meet and become friends. It's so, I know it's a small town and all, but like, just the likelihood is just like, what the fuck, you know? That's
yeah,
insane to me. That they're just hanging out and being cool when in real life, you know, their dads couldn't have been, could have just enemies, you know? But I don't know. That's just wild to me. Thoughts on that?
I I love that scene too. That's
Yeah.
so crazy that you love that. I mean, it's the music, I think. That's so funny. We both like the same, like there's those two scenes with the same song, and it's the way that they're talking. And so he said he's like, I like to smoke when I get high. And he's like, so you like to smoke when you smoke, or you smoking when you're smoking or something?
Yeah.
And it's like a high joke, like when you get high. And I was just like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But it was just like, what are the odds that they were gonna meet? You know, like
Yeah.
if that's what it's about. It's like all these weird choices in life that you make, and it just didn't matter that they were going to come again. Like Bradley Cooper, when he shot Ryan Gosling, I mean, not really, I need to say their names. When Avery shot Luke,
Yeah. Yeah.
that set it up like forever. That was going to haunt him, and then we have the sons meet. There was no. He was never going to run away from it. That was always going to haunt him for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And
Just
I
blows my
love
mind. And the performances are so good across the board, particularly AJ, because like he is probably the number one person whose performance should have just failed, because that's a hard sort of swagger to sort of pull off, just
yeah,
in general for any race. Okay. Like that would be very, very difficult, and I thought he pulled it off so convincingly. Like it wasn't cheesy, it wasn't like funny. Like, oh my god, his performance is horrible, but the movie's so good, so I'm just gonna keep trucking along. Like, no, it was really, really great. Dehan, however you say his name.
yeah.
Jason, he was great, but he's always great in dark roles for some bizarre reason. So, yeah, and then. I think my third favorite sequence in the whole film is definitely when the two
Oh
of
God,
them.
it's the same one again.
What? What?
Oh, I'm like, we're gonna have the same favorite.
We might. But yeah, my third favorite scene would definitely have to be where the AJ and Jason are in the locker room, and AJ's sort of questioning Jason about his black father. It's like, hey man, what's up with that dude? That's your dad? And and Jason sort of gets caught off guard by it, and when it's like a close up, and they both stand up and like look at each other, and like they're about to fight or something, you know, like I don't know, it blows my mind because you're just so reminded of all the events that have happened previously to
Yeah.
lead to this moment, and it just I don't know. It sounds like a weird thing to get goosebumps about, but like it honestly blows my mind every time. It's almost actually hard for me to articulate why that sequence like just blows me away. But it's like, damn, just the amount of things that had to happen for this all to come about with these two face to face. It's just like, what are the odds for real?
Yeah.
You know, like how is this movie not directly based specifically off a true story or something like?
Right.
I'm sure he maybe pulled from some real life, but still, yeah. Thoughts on my third favorite scene?
No, I like that scene too. I definitely liked when they both stood up. Like that was such a perfect, like just shot of them just face to face. Like it's so. This movie is just so. It's like a poem almost. Like
It's deep.
it is so deep. It's like I don't even know, like Shakespeare. Like there's so much. It's not like a normal film where it should have act one and like, you know, it should be kind of like that, the old kind of feel to it, you know.
Yeah, it kind of spans
Act 2, Act 3.
sort of spans generations, kind of like Godfather in a sense. It's almost. I would actually be curious if The Godfather, which I'm a huge fan of, maybe has some influence on the storytelling here, because there seems to be clear influences to me personally, but because Godfather takes place over like generations, like it, yeah, but I guess what. Well, I guess we could talk about when Jason, you know, he gets the reveal about AJ's father, and then just the ending, really.
Yeah, and then there was the parallels of like, even though even though Jason was not raised by his actual father, it's like the sins of the father follow you. You will have that blood in you. And there was parallels when he was stealing the oxy. Like that was back to he didn't rob a bank, but he robbed.
Yeah.
It's like that's a parallel. Like it's almost like the director was just strongly trying to put in your face that what you do will haunt you, like even your children. It's just
like bad traits can pass on to your children.
Yeah, something like that. I feel like it's something along those lines, something really deep to what he's trying to say.
That's crazy.
Because he went and he stole stuff, and it's a parallel, like, to his dad.
Yeah, I wonder if that is true to some extent. Like if you were a cheater a lot, you know, because your kids cheat. That's I don't know. Maybe that's mind bendy a bit, but you never know. I guess that's so weird. I don't know if it could happen that way, but it's definitely not impossible. That's for sure. I don't know. I just totally got lost in my thoughts. I guess the fight between AJ and Jason at the party when Jason finds out about Avery, that was just heartbreaking to watch. Yeah. Watching AJ just like go to town on him. Seriously. Damn. Just beat the hell out of that kid. And
I thought he was going to kill him. I was like, are you serious? So both of them are going to die? Like, really?
Oh, yeah. Both die when they're young. And then Jason just breaks bad and, like, kidnaps Bradley Cooper, which was, like, the worst scene for me, even watching it again. Because first time I saw it, I was like, man, this is going to be one of those depressing-ass fucking movies, isn't it? He's just going to shoot Bradley Cooper in the face, and then something real bad's going to happen. But no, it actually doesn't kill him. But he does, he finds a photograph, which I thought was interesting. Jason, finds a photograph and sends it to his mom. And then there's that fantastic final one take at the end where he ironically gets the bike and kind of speeds off. It was really cool when he meets
Robin.
Yeah, when he
That was
meets.
my favorite scene. The other favorite scene,
Was
by the
it?
way.
Yeah, when he meets Robin, the song, that's like a second theme, I suppose. The song playing there is like my second favorite song in the whole film. It's really, really haunting shit. When he's like, oh, yeah, yeah, you should take these goofy glasses. They were your
Yeah,
dad's, you know? Try them on. That was creepy. Or just eerie, I suppose.
yeah. That was my favorite scene. Or my third favorite scene is the glasses, and then that
Okay.
song when the song comes on and he puts the glasses on, he says, "Yeah, I see it," or something, and he's so happy for that moment, Jason. And
Yeah.
then you can tell that Robin, I guess his name is so happy too because he's like that was his friend, that was his, and he's really lonely. So, but it
Yeah.
was just really sweet that those glasses were still there 15 years later,
Hmm.
and they were just, oh god, those little, like, I don't know, they're
Little,
just so
little, little gems, as I call them.
yeah, yes,
Easter
little
eggs.
gem.
Little gems. What were your first two favorite scenes again?
When they're in the bed,
That was your
talking about,
favorite?
yeah, that scene, and then going to when they get the picture taken. That I'll count that as one full scene.
Yeah, yeah, same, same.
Yeah, that scene, and then it was when the Jason and AJ meet and are smoking.
Oh, yeah. Wait. Okay, yeah, we mentioned this. I'm sorry, my mind's all over the place. But there's so many things happening right now. But no, that is weird that those were our favorite scenes. That's weird as shit. Anyway, so yeah, we get to the final one take at the end, which I thought was. I wondered too if the Hain Dahan actually rode on a motorcycle or if they just did some sound mixing trickery and like it was just like some stunt double who was like, I got it from here, kid. Yeah, thoughts on that? You think he actually rode off into the distance like that?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't see why not. It didn't seem very dangerous, but
No. But I suppose it is just a role. So maybe the Hain Dahan was like, nah, bro, I can't do that. But maybe he did. Someone let us know down below because I actually don't know. But yeah, this is like a very exhausting. I know I can tell.
yeah,
I can tell we've probably been going for an hour, even with some of the bits that I cut out. But this movie is just a exhausting in a good way, but
yeah, oh
epic,
yeah,
sprawling film about what I guess how the flaws of fathers can trickle down to their children, I suppose.
yeah. That's what I think. That's basically the gist of it. That's what Derek said. I think when he was talking about it, it's just fathers and sons. It's a movie about fathers and sons, because I think that role of a father is so important, and for him too, because I think he has kids, and I think he just wanted to. It's just crazy. I love this movie so much.
It's really
I love
good.
it.
Luckily, for some odd reason, it's not as depressing as Blue Valentine to me, which might sound strange to some of you, but for some reason, Blue Valentine just is really holy. I just don't know if I can ever watch that movie again. At least not like as a whole. But
Yeah,
with this film, it's a bit different. I mean, it's dark, but it never just like dives off the deep end into depression like Blue Valentine does. At least to me personally, it's almost just like a tough lesson that you're being
yeah,
taught through a movie. Whereas Blue Valentine, you're just quite literally watching two people just drive off into oblivion, basically, relationship-wise, anyways. Which that's just the worst. But I don't know. I guess any final thoughts about Place Beyond the Pines?
final thoughts probably are that this is in my top 10 favorite movies
Wow.
of all time. Yeah. Yeah, this movie is because it doesn't just have one thing. It's not just a romance. It's not just a action or like a cop story. It's so many things, and it's kind of hard. Again, it's hard for me to even imagine that no one was nominated, that the director was not nominated, that the music, the screenplay, all the writing. I might be wrong, but I'm so sure. I just feel I'm so sure that didn't have any type of award.
I was checking
Please tell me there is an award.
I was checking this to see if there's any nominations. I don't see any offhand, but yeah, I don't know.
I just don't know. But yeah, this, and then, I mean, I don't know if you want to cut this and put it to the beginning, but we are obviously making these reviews because the newest movie of Derek Cianfrance is coming out, or Cianfrance.
Yeah.
So I think this is like he only has 3 films.
Yeah.
So The Light Beyond the Ocean.
I don't know.
Hold on.
I do not know, actually. I'm not even gonna pretend to know.
Hold on. Just so we sound professional.
I just know that Alicia.
The Light Between Oceans.
There we go.
But, yeah, I'm exhausted. This was going to be a long review. This is a long movie with so many things.
Hopefully this is like the most in-depth, longest review of this film, because it really deserves it. I think it's fantastic. Yeah. It's not... I don't think I could even begin to squeeze. Not that like I have a list already, but like I don't know that I could squeeze into my top 10. But it's got to be like at the very least like top 20, 30, somewhere in there. 20, somewhere in there. I like it. It's pretty extraordinary. Top 10. That's where it gets tough. That's when you're like, should I add a trilogy as number 5? Like it gets tough with top 10s, but. Gobbledygook. I don't know. I give it a 10 out of 10. I love it. She loves it as well. It's highly recommended. Let us know how much you love it as well, because you wouldn't have gotten this far unless you didn't. So let us know your thoughts on the film down below. And I think we're about to peace out, so I don't die in the editing room.
Oh yeah.
Any final thoughts?
No, just thank you for doing this with me, and I'm excited. I love talking about movies that I enjoy, and this is always fun. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So until next time, guys.